So 3, 2, 1. Yo, what's up? It's the one and only HipHopGamer, Hot 97, Logitech G. Shout out to my boy T-Pain with the Nappy Boy Gaming. We got the one and only legendary, you already know what it is, Brooklyn Zoo. Shaolin in the building. WU-TANG Clan ain't nothing to with. You already know what it is. Bobby Digital, the one and only RZA.
Yeah. Live in the building. Yo. What's up, yo? What up, yo?
Yo, that's how you bring it in. So
that's an intro, fam.
Yo, I'm first thing out the gate, man. Cutthroat City. Let's get right into it. So check it out, right? Here's what I wanna Here's what I wanna understand better about the movie. It seems like the movie had a lot of pain in it. It felt real personal, you know what I'm saying? And also there was a lot of greed. There was like a big theme in the narrative around greed and stuff like that. Like, what was this movie like for you personally making this movie? How did you feel creating it and everything like that? Because it seemed like there's a lot of pain and a lot of things you want to get off your chest through this movie.
Yeah, well, first of all, I don't ever take on a project that I can't find myself in, right? So when I read a script, I make sure that there's something in it that I could personalize. And if it's not in there, then I gotta go to the producers and pitch the idea of putting it inside there. You know what I mean? So of course I didn't grow up in New Orleans and I didn't live through Hurricane Katrina on the ground, right? But the effects of Hurricane Katrina on that community is very similar to the effects of crack in my community. It's very similar to the effect of racism in Staten Island when we were trying to get our feet on the ground, right? So since the idea of those four characters all having aspirations, and then those aspirations turning into desperations, that I understood. And so I decided to, pitch that part of the story to the producers, and they was like, yo, that's a great way to tell this movie. And so, look, when you start feeling the idea of pain, yeah, the pain is our community. You know what I mean? The pain is that, FEMA let us down at the time where we needed them, right? And not just where we needed them. A lot of people don't understand this part of it, and I do, as a man who started with no nickel.
Right? Yeah, right, facts.
I understand that, as a man who now is, a taxpaying citizen, and I pay a lot in taxes, bro. They hit me over the head. You know what I mean? That everything we spend, whether we're paying taxes on our clothes, food, our shelter, or from your salary, all that goes to the government, yo. And therefore, that's your money that you are investing into the security of yourself. And that security means your military security, your paved roads, your lights, whatever. You paying for this. Nobody's doing this for a favor for us, you know what I mean? And then when you need that assistance, that federal enforcement management agency is coming to manage the situation and give you that assistance, and they deny you it, it's a big problem. And that same thing that we've seen happen in 2005 at Hurricane Katrina, which we are now at the 15th year anniversary is coming up this August, we see that in its own different form in this pandemic. You know what I mean? We see that our communities, Black communities and poor communities, because when you say poor, it's definitely our community, but then you got the Latin brothers who have poverty in their community. You know what I mean? A lot of our white brothers, you know what I mean? Big population living in trailer homes and water coming from wherever source they're getting that water from. You know what I mean? Poor communities. And when you see that those communities become the one that has to suffer or be disenfranchised or not get the benefits of what is theirs, right? Because none of this money belongs to no politician, bro. It don't belong to them. We even pay their salaries.
Absolutely.
So if your politician got a good dental care, it's thanks to you. So anyway, but greed becomes the factor that stops everybody from giving out the proportion that belongs to the next man. And that's why in the film we check in on that energy. We see that our characters and our gangsters, they're like, Shamik Moore plays a character named Blink, who is a college student. I mean, a college graduate. He got his associate degree. He thought he'd be able to come out, get a good job, but no, he's black. It stops him. And I'm not saying that to make it a racist thing, but that's the problem he has to face. But then there's another character, a young white man played by Kenan Johnson, whose name is Junior, right?
Yeah.
He's trying to breed dogs and have his own kennel. But nah, you ain't gonna do that in the poor community. They're not gonna look at, it's not gonna work for you in the poor community. Maybe if you was, in anyway, in the suburbs, you'll be able to pull that off. And so even for the poor white man in the community, he's stuck in the same condition as the poor black man. He may get some benefits later, but I took the story from the screenplay and I looked at my own neighborhood, and we always had a guy, like in my neighborhood, I come from a Charlotte in Stapleton. We have my boy, I don't mind saying his name out loud, white boy John, you know what I mean? But he used to hang with us, yo. He could throw hands, everything, yo. You know what I mean? He could do what he do. He one of us. You know what I mean? And at the same time, you know what I mean? If crime is crime, then he's in crime as well. You know what I mean? If we trying to make beats or hip hop, then he's gonna probably go into that chamber, right? So, point being made that the movie was to kind of is shining a light on that in the mix of Hurricane Katrina aftermath.
Yo, listen, the way you just broke that down, like you sound like someone that's ready to go into the world of politics and really change things, man. Like, I'm just saying, because like your energy. See, one thing I love about y'all is y'all always had great energy, y'all always had great unison, and y'all always had great intellect. Always out the gate, y'all always had that knowledge. You understand? So just to see how far you come and just looking at certain things within the Cutthroat City movie, man, it's just, well, it's not surprising to me, but it's always an honor to watch. And I appreciate you for it, man. And I love you for it, man. So the next question I got for you is this, right? So also, again, watching the movie, something that stuck out to me was the fact that, like, this man he has a wife, he has a child, and stuff like that. And even though you have that and how beautiful, his wife and child was, it always felt like it wasn't enough. You know what I'm saying? You ever get to a point where you have so much and you can have all the things that you actually want or ask for, and it still ain't enough. You just still gotta, always got the hunger for more. What is your thoughts on that type of mentality? Like, it's like you're so much. Sometimes people feel like they're so much of a loser that they don't realize when they've won. And I noticed that in the movie too.
Yeah, it's double edged on that, on a question like that, and on an answer like that, right? Because he does have a beautiful wife, beautiful child, and he was optimistic. But after that hurricane, she's holding up bills, yo. They months behind.
True.
So there's a chance that you're about to be beautiful wife and child in the streets. You know what I mean? And then secondly, I think one thing that I strive to do as a filmmaker, right, is reveal situations to people, right, that they could relate to and understand. And through each character, I try to show that. So through Blink's character, it's more like you may have knowledge, wisdom, understanding, right? You may have food, clothing, shelter, right? But do you got freedom, justice, and equality?
You know what I mean? So you just got you. See,
you just hit it on
the head with that. You just hit it on the head.
You know what I mean? So the point is, some of the freedoms that you have, like some of us, we all have freedom, but do some of our people in our community have economical freedom? No. Do some people have even spiritual freedom, right? You got some countries, like one of the richest countries in the world is Saudi Arabia, right?
Yeah.
They sitting on trillions of barrels, right? And yet they saying that women is feeling like, they're not feeling spiritually free to express themselves. And I'm not talking about my Saudi Arabian brothers because, I study Islam. But the point being made is that you may have economical freedom and don't have spiritual freedom. You may have economical and spiritual freedom and don't have political freedom. So now you take it over to a communist country where, they got all the temples, they got all the money, but you can't say nothing. No freedom of press, none of that. So I think when you look at a man in our character Blink, he appreciates his beautiful wife and his son, as you'll see in the movie, but he feels like, yo, it's a lot of things happening. They're rebuilding New Orleans, but what about the lower ninth? What about
Right.
us? We're the last ones to receive, and we are in the worst condition. So then, what your wife and your son, which are important, you lose that focus because you're now thinking about, yo, survival. You know, I made it my business in the film, and I would love for the audience to watch this film and to
Yeah,
enjoy it.
July 31st. I gotta say
Yeah,
that again. July 31st. Please check it out and really see what he's talking about. Cause yo, honestly, like Riz, like the way you breaking things down is gonna make people want to see it. But when you see it, there's gonna be some things that hit you. Like that's gonna make you be like, like I got that. And I like
respect.
July 31st, man. July 31st. That's all
Oh.
I'm saying. Go ahead.
What I want to point out is that you'll notice that before our character made the decision to go do something of a bad opportunity, basically because he had no opportunities, before he makes that decision, I made sure he went and sat down and prayed by his son. And that wasn't in the original script. You know what I mean? But
Oh,
I was like, listen, we're gonna do it for real for how a man like I would have do it. Like if I gotta do something that's crazy, yo, I'm gonna do it because I gotta do what I gotta do.
right.
But at least let me go put that prayer on my child and prayer and hope I'll be forgiven for what I gotta do because I gotta do what I gotta do. And I wanted people to understand that a lot of young men, especially a lot of young black men, we become victims of circumstance. I had a good brother who who grew up with me, maybe at the age of, from 14 to 18, we was MCs and hanging around each other. And then we went our separate ways and he ended up getting into crime, you know what I mean? And he ended up doing 15 years in jail, you know what I mean? And when he came out, we had a chance to build about, our different directions. And he was like, yo, at the end of the day, he was a nerd. You know what I mean? He could have been a computer geek or MC or artist or comic book writer or whatever. But the system and the circumstances he was in forced him to turn to be a thug. He wasn't no joke as a thug now. Trust me,
Yeah,
he
he
was
got
no
it in.
joke.
He got it
You know
in.
what I mean? But that was more like the environment made him be that way. If he was able, if you would have left him in a place where he had food, clothing, and shelter, you know what I mean? And not on all the 12 jewels of life, which is knowledge, wisdom, understanding, freedom, justice, equality, food, clothing, and shelter, love, peace, and happiness, he would have been one of those guys that could have created an app that would have been something great for all of us to improve life instead of being somebody who caused trouble in life. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree with that wholeheartedly, man. Like originally, like I'm from East New York, Brooklyn, and when I look back on the environment that I was in comparison to the environment that I'm in now, and just the major differences, I see where I was going and I see where the
Right.
change happened. So you're absolutely right on that. So now I got something for you, and I got a few fan questions for you too, bro. So
Okay.
the first thing I want to ask you is this, especially dealing with the situation that we're dealing with right now, with the pandemic and stuff like that, bro. Like I think it'd be genius if you did like a samurai anime like called like Wu-Tang Forever anime. You know what I'm saying? Or something like that where we go like watch cause in the beginning, yo, listen, in the beginning of the movie, I don't want to spoil nothing. I want y'all to see it for yourselves. But in the beginning of the movie, you know what I'm talking about, Riz. The way you
Yeah.
showed it off, I'm like, yo, me and my girl was like, yo, wait, hold on. Like this, you know what I'm saying? So we yo, we demand it, bro. Like matter of fact, yeah, we demand you to create
Bong
like an
bong.
anime style. Yo, bro, that'd be crazy. And even in the form of anime, even with these games, man, PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X is coming out this year. Like, we would love to see your talent go over there. We already got the
Well, you know
Wu-Tang
what's
Shaolin
crazy?
style game back in the day. We need more, bro.
Your HipHopGamer, you know what's crazy? Method Man is actually in the process of developing an animation. And the thing about Method Man, seriously,
Oh my
out of all of us, I'm a comic geek, but Method Man is like if we was compare Method Man to like say he's a lyricism and I'm a lyricist, right? And comics are how you measuring the lyrics. I'll probably be uh let me see, maybe I'll be Ed OG and Method Man is Rakim when it comes to comics. You know what I mean?
what?
Yeah, I had about maybe
Oh,
400-500 comics in my stash. He had like 5,000. You know what I
Yo,
mean?
Method Man is on it. Like, I mean, I knew he was
Method
crazy.
Man is comic crazy.
Wow.
And so he's developing some animation right now, and I'm helping him as much as I can with my knowledge. But he's the master of that comic world, yo.
That's crazy, man. Yo, we gotta talk more because there's a lot of things that I'm doing too. So off
Okay.
camera, we gotta talk more, bro, because there's so many things happening, man. So I got so now I have a fan question. One of the fans, they was talking about they still play the PlayStation 1 Wu-Tang Shaolin style game. Like all the way back, PlayStation 1, they still play that and they still have a joy for that. You know what I'm saying? And then you remember you had the Def Jam Fight for New York, like you had those games back in the day, but we haven't had games in decades that really spoke to the culture. And you guys always, y'all fingers always on the pulse of the culture, like period. So what the question there, like from the fan was, will they get or will y'all do something in the gaming space, whether it's another Wu-Tang like Shaolin style type of game, or would you just invest in the gaming industry period to lend your knowledge to help produce other games or something like that? But would you do anything in the gaming industry?
Well, I love the gaming industry. You know, I mean, you know, I'm an OG, so I go back to Atari. You know what I mean?
Oh, facts.
And I'm glad to see how far it's come. You know, I mean, I watched my son. You know, what's the new game that just came out?
Ghost of Tsushima. Yo, I was going, yeah. So that I was gonna follow up with that because I just got the 2-minute warning from the people from Allied.
Hey, yo, man, I can't wait to play that. My son, I hope he gets to. I mean, it's available yesterday, right? It came out.
It came out today.
So I think,
official,
so I think he's gonna have it up there tonight. By the time I finish my work, and I'm gonna play that. But I would love to be in the gaming world. We haven't figured out exactly how to re-enter yet. You know what I mean? But
that's what I'm here for. We gonna talk.
Well, all right, we're gonna talk.
Definitely. So for the last question, because I know I gotta wrap it up, man. So like, and this is more of a personal question. So, and it's a two-parter. Sorry, I just gotta, this is you. So I gotta close it out right. So everybody is like, yo, when is season two coming? You know what I'm saying? The American Saga. Everybody wants to know about that, like season 2. When is that coming? If you could tell us. And the second part of the question is, when you look back on all that you've accomplished, in your life and the people that you inspired and stuff like that, what's a period in your life where you felt like you was at your lowest, but you managed to find strength in that moment that allowed you to be great the way you are today?
Well, first of all, thanks for that question. American Saga, we just got up to episode 8 of season 2, as far as in script form. Right now COVID got everything bugged out, but the good news I could announce today is that UGuard has signed on.
Yo, let's go.
Yep. So it's going to be fun for his character to come into the play, and he has a great arc. So that's good. And then, as far as that question about what, my lowest point, I'll just say there's been a few low points, right? But I'm gonna just say like the lowest point that happened after I became so-called famous, right?
Wow.
It was around a year. It was really 2000. Lost my old earth. You know what I mean? And also the Wu decided to, kind of go our separate ways. You know what I mean? In the sense of my company, Wu-Tang Production, was worth millions and millions of dollars, and I basically gave everybody back their contracts and kind of dissolved it. I probably would have been a billionaire if I didn't do that. But but at the end of the day, the reason why I say it was the lowest point is because it was a point where nobody believed in my vision anymore, and I was feeling like it was time for me to expand my music horizons, and so I ended up leaving New York City and went to California, and basically I wanted to enter the film business, and everybody told me like it's stupid. How could you? You're doing so well. You're a millionaire. You're like, why would you risk everything to do this? And it's just my passion was like my creative passion was heavier on me more than my economic passion, and eventually I ended up getting a chance to score Kill Bill, which so I basically went on 2001. I went to China with Tarantino and started studying how to make movies with him. and then eventually he hired me to be the composer of Kill Bill. And that humble beginning, right, led up to by the time we got to 10 years later, which was 2002 to 2012, I'm behind the camera doing my own movie, The Man with the Iron Fist.
Man with the
And
Iron Fist.
so my advice and the wisdom to that is just like, yo, everything like every seed has to be nurtured before it grows, right? And sometimes the hardest time before anything happens in your life is similar to a woman giving birth. The most pain is in labor. But after that labor is over, there's a whole new life that could change the world. And I think in my lowest, I was going through that labor, but I made it through, and bong bong, here I am.
Yo, that's the best way to end the interview. Cutthroat City, July 31st is going down. It's going to be crazy. We have the one and only RZA in the building. One love and God bless. And on that note, Shaolin in the building. And we out of here. Wu-Tang Clan ain't nothing to F with. Anybody want to shout out before we get out of here?
Nah, I just want to shout you out. Keep doing what you're doing, yo, and bong bong. Thank you.
All right, one love. God bless and peace.